about the feedback from the young people themselves? How did that change, and did you involve them in thinking how you would redesign things?
One of the big challenges we faced was so what about young people? How are they getting involved in this? And it was very much a conscious decision. Be very careful. You see me pause at this point. I'm going to say this. I don't believe in giving young people a choice if they haven't really got one. What we were talking about was whole service system change with a financial reduction and the loss of staff's jobs. I don't believe that it would have been fair to ask young people any aspect of that.
Yes.
That's a manager and leader's job to do. They're the decisions we take.
Yes.
We have to do it with the best of our experience, but they are decisions we take. So we don't ask. I never felt comfortable and wouldn't feel comfortable asking people about that.
Yes.
What we asked them about was what would make it better for you.
Right.
If these are our outcomes and this is what we want, they are aspirations for you. What are your aspirations? What do you want to achieve? Now we have a wealth of evidence of that.
Yes.
And I don't believe either that every time you make a change, if you want to consult with young people, you have to go out and do it afresh. There's a body of evidence and research you can draw on. Myself, nearly 30 years of experience.
Of course.
Add up the staff's experience, you've got hundreds of years of experience. It's all from different perspectives. It's perfectly legitimate for them to bring that into the fore. When you want to test out an idea, take it to a group of young people, but make sure. I'm trying to get my soapbox. It does grind on me. Like, if you go to a young person, be very clear. Are you asking them for their opinion, their thoughts? What does it seem to you as a young person? In which case you can ask one.
Yeah.
Or are you asking them to have a voice of representation across a number of other young people? If it's the former, then you're legitimate to ask 1 or 5, and whatever they say is legitimate because you want their perspective.
Yes.
That's what you look for.
Very personal opinion.
If you want them to be representative, you can't ask 1 and ask them to represent 30,000 young people in their cohort. You have to be more democratic than that. We have a youth parliament and the Children Care Council that does that. So we were very careful to ask the right questions in the right way of the right young people, so we didn't cross it. So whatever they said had value, had meaning, and if we couldn't, and we could use it, because if any of those we got a no on, then it was being disrespectful to young people. We wouldn't do that.
I like that, because young people don't like it being asked time and time again to fill in a survey or fill in a feedback form. If they don't see it being used and they don't see the impact of it, it just loses all credibility for the people doing the engagement.
And I've worked across the country over my time, and I've worked in other areas where almost in one area we had to basically say, do not send any more researchers in that area. They will not be, it's not productive. The residents, the community have had enough. They just get bombarded with people going in saying, tell me about your lives.
Yes.
Almost like voyeuristic.
Yes.
But for them, no discernible results.
Yes.
And this is, for me, the results of some of the old practices of before. If you send people in, they learn about the community, and then they just do what they've always done.
Yes.
And therefore always got the same results. And for the residents, the community, that meant therefore nothing's changed. You put in all this supposed money and resource and time and effort and asking us. For us, absolutely nothing's changed. And until you can go in there and ask them more that, from the outcomes-based side, what is it you want to achieve? What will make it better? And actually be prepared to be challenged back to say, that's what we're going to do. It's a standing joke. We used to block researchers going in. Please, do not send any more into our community. They will not tolerate it. So, it has a much wider impact than just service-based. It does impact on communities.
Yes, and your relationship. The council's relationship, and being seen as an authentic partner and somebody who's engaging rather than just going through a process and paying lip service to consultation.
Exactly. And I think, again, this is why I'm sold on outcomes. It works for young people, but it works equally on any level. It works on communities, it works in groups, it works in families. Because to me, it's asking the respectful question. What is it you wish to achieve for yourself? What outcomes? We have our outcomes, which is why we have the intrinsic and extrinsic to balance off the two potentially conflicting opinions on what those outcomes should be. And we were able to have that conversation and say, you know, we appreciate that you may want to go off. You might like watching daytime TV all day, you know, living, you know, on benefits and having the ability to do what the hell you like. Appreciate that. That is your choice.
Yeah.
However, there are consequences to that choice.
Yes.
The outcomes you won't, you know, will be X, Y, and Z.
Yes.
We want better outcomes for you. That means you may want to consider doing it a different way, and you can have that intelligent conversation.
Yeah. Honest conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Intelligent conversation. You said. Yeah.
Because you've got
and challenging conversation.
And be prepared to be challenged back.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you do this with me, well, what good is that?
Yeah.
You know, it has to be meaningful, it has to have purpose. And then if people see that, and they do, you know, at any level, colleagues, staff, young people, community member, it doesn't matter. If they see that, they'll engage.
Yes.
And if they engage, you've got a chance.
Yes.
If they don't engage, you've got no chance.
Yes.
You know, a young person, it's obvious, but it's simple, but it's obvious. You know, a young person that won't talk to us, won't engage in services, chooses to, you know, just be in their own peer groups without any contact, you have no chance.
Yes, of having an impact.
Of having an impact
or
achieving something,
yeah.
or mitigating some risks for them, or making, you know, helping to support to get them into a better position. You have no chance whatsoever. You don't even get from the starting block. So you need to have that point of engagement. This outcome based gives you a focus.
It's about them rather than about them servicing your process and how you operate and what you need from them to cooperate with something that might not have any meaning to them at all.
And in this, you know, it's we talk about community engagement, we talk about outcomes, we talk about, you know, the ability for them to self-serve, etc. Our ultimate aim is that they just don't need us anymore.
Yeah, that's right. They're resilient.
They're resilient.
Help them build that. Yeah.
You know, we have the example of where, you know, a very small example, but you know, a young man, street homeless, worked with two workers, worked with him to get him off the street, which they managed to do, get him into accommodation, into some form of benefit pending and employment, got him set up. That was it, job done. In this scenario, that was there because they were a detached team. They worked on the streets. Once he was off the streets, they got him there, off there. And then 3 months lost contact with him, which is fine. That's what happens. 3 months later, heard that he had been back on the streets.
Right.
So I went looking for him again. He obviously failed. Went back on the streets, found him again. And this time they found him. He said, "Where are you?" He said, "Well, actually, I'm in accommodation. I'm in a job. I'm da-da-da." I said, "But we heard you on the street." He said, "Yeah, I was." I said, "Why didn't you contact us?" He said, "Because I didn't need you. You taught me the first time how to do this.
Yes.
I learned from you. You taught me I needed to, if I was in this position, I needed to go here, here, and here." So he's self-served, which is absolutely what we want to achieve.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I know there's, you know, it sounds like we're wonderful people. My God, we get it as well. Yeah, we don't know this. This is not perfect. This is, you know, but it's
real
the
life,
principle.
though, isn't it?
It's real life.
The whole basis of this is about real life. What really is going to make a difference? What really is going to help? Yeah.
And you can tell, you know, if you get it right, the satisfaction, you know, the benefit to them is immense and immeasurable in some respects. The satisfaction for the workers is also immeasurable. You know, them knowing on a day-to-day basis that they're making a difference. You know, that is the biggest motivator. And our staff turnover is very low. You know, so it impacts in all these arenas. Our staff turnover is very low.
Yeah.
Causes difficulty with our vacancy projections, of course, but it's fine.
But on the other hand, you're investing in people, and you know that investment's really worthwhile. Yeah.
And they're developing. You know, they've got the ability to innovate. And yes, we have. You know, we don't let them do what they want. We are very hard in terms of our management structures, in terms of making sure that what they do is productive and efficient. We challenge that because we haven't got a lot of resource any resource to waste, but we are a very, very resource efficient service because of it.
Yeah.
And we can manage, you know, we manage our resources very well, but they produce. And even now, you know, we still think we know we can constantly strive to do better. So it's an organic process. You never stop.
It never ends. It's when you was talking about the cycle, you're learning all the time from what's working, what isn't, and keep reviewing those strategies all the time so that you're continuously improving.
And I appreciate for some staff, some workers in local authority that's possibly not the environment they want to work in. I appreciate that on the basis that they feel like they're in constant change.
Yes.
Whereas we try very hard to say it's not constant change. It's constant evolution.
Yes.
It's constant organic development. Adapting, improving on your practice. Doing this very well is great. We also have utilised what we call hidden insights.
Oh yes, I know about that. Yes, and it's really good.
It's really positive. And again, it's just looking at reversing. Normally, you would take something that went very wrong. And learn from that. This is where we get things very right, and we equally learn from that. We investigate that as hard as we do those that go wrong. And one of our cultural change has been very challenging as well, because we've challenged back to say normally again. Sorry, I do go on a bit, but you'd say you see a problem, an issue, something's gone wrong. You try to work out why it went wrong, what's to blame for that, what happened.
Yes.
You then work out what you then need to do, and then you bring a solution in.
Yes.
And we've heavily challenged that model.
Yes.
And said that it's logical, but in that process, the person that's actually suffering or being affected by that issue is at the bottom of the process. So they're suffering while you're working all this out, metaphorically. So we've said basically you should find an issue, solve it, so the person doesn't suffer. Then if you've got time and energy to look at what's to blame, and you need to do that, but do it afterwards. Because actually a lot of these things, the solutions are there. You don't need to work out why it went wrong. Fix it.
And then learn from that and take it forward.
So, and it's to varying degrees. It doesn't always work as clean as that, but the majority of the time, sort the solution out. And if you want, find someone to blame, that's great. But pointless. Learn from it.
It's not the point of the exercise.
And this is quite often in our environment, it's very key to us, because like I say, if a young person is in crisis, you can't leave them there while you're trying to work out what to do. You've got to be able to respond. And it was just a way of saying, when you work faced with a young person in crisis, you know exactly what to do. If you apply that thinking to your work-based solutions, you will get much faster. And quite often now, it's a bit of a mantra, is people don't come to me with problems. They effectively come to me with solutions. And that's the key difference, because what they're doing is self-serving. They don't need me. Yes, I'm head of service. Yes, I have to give permissions or authorisations on certain levels, but actually the managers now are very much about creating their own environments and solving their own problems. They're not reliant.
It shifts the accountability, as you said, to blame, to accountability for doing the very best you can to deliver on what's important.
And if it goes wrong, fine, it happens. But actually no one's then to blame, it's just a thing that happens, and you're learning and you move on. And what they tend to do is then self-serve again in terms of solutions. They'll look at that and they'll say, okay, well next time we'll do this, because actually that's the solution we found to it.
That's good.
And it's, it's a bit of a standing joke now. They've got used to it, so it's become a joke. But I say, they know, we're not coming to you with a problem. So they actually voice it now. Say, I have this issue. This is the solution. They very quickly, very point out, this is my solution. I have one of them for you. Do it. So it works.
No, that's great.
I take that, but I think, and for me, the outcome-based accountability it is a whole systems approach.
Absolutely.
You can't use it in isolation. You have to say, okay, if we're going to use this, then we have to be prepared to, like I say, start with the outcome and adapt everything behind that lines everything up then to achieve that outcome. And if your outcomes change, you have to be prepared to change with it. And it works. I have to say, it works.
That's great.